Okay, so some of you might be wondering, why do we need kinematic output? And I'm going to show you why. So you could just do, for example, an arm, you could do one drawing and just use bones, and it works, but it's not very sophisticated. You can bend the elbow, and yes, you can bend the wrist, but you only have a certain amount of flexibility here, and you can't swap out the hand. So if you wanted to do different hand poses, you would have to redraw the entire arm um, all together. So it's not very sophisticated and it's pretty limiting. You can, by mistakes, stretch it and squish it and all that good stuff. So while the one drawing with all bones works, it's not ideal. So what about two drawings? So say we have the upper and lower arm as one piece of art that is boned, and then you have the hand as its own separate piece over here. So so say you're like, okay, I have my two drawings, and what I'm going to do, if you look in the node view, is I'm just going to parent my hand from the deformation. So as I manipulate my deformation, like so, the hand is going to follow. So why can't that work? That seems like that would work, even better, because then I can use the hand substitution for this and it's all fine. And, why not that? The reason for that is because it is being kicked out of the entire deformation and not the final bone. So as you start moving this around, you're going to see that my pivot point gets all sorts of funky as I try to transform it. And it will kind of cause a lot of weird stuff like that as you move the main arm around. Um, I did set the pivot correctly down here. So this is just with drawings with no pegs, but you could do the same thing with a peg. It's not going to matter. You set the pivot down here. No matter what you do, that pivot will always kind of be centered around there, no matter what where the hand is located. So that's not really ideal either, because you're going to get unexpected results and you're going to find it very hard to manipulate it as as so. So we don't want to just do that. That won't work either. What kinematic output does is, so it's built up pretty similar. You have the one piece of artwork that's boned and you have the one hand like this. If you look over here. So instead of just parenting the hand under the arm artwork, what we're going to do is go to our node library. If you just do a quick search for kinematic, it's going to come up here, kinematic output. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, take just the X, Y, the kinematic information from this deformation. Take the very last bone in this chain, because if I look at inside this deformation, you'll actually see every point I make is a little bone. Take the final XY position of the last bone, just take that kinematic information and output it to this item right here. So this kinematic output basically is the bridge between the deformation and the object that is attached to it. So now, as I rotate and manipulate my arm like this, the pivot point stays with the hands. The hands not being too, it's not getting really weird in the same way that the no kinematic output was. I can do the replacement pieces, I could move it and it will act as expected. It works a lot better. Bonus, if you wanted to say have multiple things that were on top of this, so say you're like, okay, I want a bracelet. I had a bracelet here somewhere. I think it's disappeared. Oh, it's down here. So say, for example, you want to have a bracelet. So you want both the bracelet and the hand to follow the deformation. Let's just make this visible. Boop, like this. You would just, again, you can have multiple things come out of the kinematic output, and I didn't place it correctly to begin with, so that's my bad. Boop. If I want to reset this, just click on this and go up here, reset current keyframe, reset, reset. Take my beautiful bracelet, and I'm going to put it over here on this guy. So again, I could just take that bracelet and parent it from the kinematic output. So as I move my hand, both the bracelet and the hand are being subject to the kinematic output of the deformation. So that's why we use kinematic output, and the other two methods won't really work as we want them to.